What's up, guys? Derek here with Tap and Turn Gaming, coming at you today with a new video in a series that we're going to be doing. Hopefully you guys like it. It's just going to be a series of top 10 secret techs for each individual color. Now this one's obviously going to be green, but we're going to be doing all 5 monocolors, all 10 guilds, and colorless. We will probably be skipping the 3 color and 4 color and 5 color because that's just going to be overlapping from monocolor and dual color. So between dual color and monocolor, we should cover just about everything. We might just do like a top 10 in multicolor for, 3 or more color cards, but we'll see how it goes, if the series even does well or not. But this series is basically going to be just me and Jay talking about cards that we find to be good in the particular color that they are, that aren't heavily played cards, that really serve a great utility, and maybe bring something to the board that that color doesn't normally do. So first we'll take a look at the green cards, like I said. We have 4 enchantments, 3 creatures, 1 instant, 1 sorcery, 1 artifact. First thing we went over is the enchantments. So first up we have Gravity Well, which is a 3-cost enchantment that says whenever a creature with flying attacks, it loses flying until end of turn. Now, while this could potentially hurt you, you're really going to be playing it as a saving grace because there's not many green flyers, but there's a lot of flyers in other colors. And this can really help you, whereas people go to attack you, their creatures lose flying and drop to the ground. Now your big fat green creatures that you have can gobble them up. And that's just a really useful utility card to have. Then we have Life Gift. Life Gift is another 3-cost enchantment. Whenever a land comes into play, you gain 1 life. Or you may gain 1 life, so you'll have to remember to do it. But what makes this a cool card, and some decks like Omnath and Azusa and Titanium may just play this as a given. What makes this a really powerful card is that EDH is meant to be played in like the multiplayer setting. So if you play this in multiplayer and you have, say, 2 opponents and yourself, you could be gaining 3 life a turn for quite a while, and that's not bad at all. Then our next card is going to be Quest for Renewal. Says whenever a creature you control becomes tapped, you may put a quest counter on Quest for Renewal. As long as there are 4 or more quest counters on Quest for Renewal, untap all creatures you control during each other player's untap step. So this is cool because it gives you a sort of a Seedborn Muse or Prophet of Krufix style effect. Now you don't untap the lands, but being able to untap your creatures in some green decks is just as good as untapping your lands because you'll be getting a ton of mana. And just whatever abilities you want, or being able to just swing away and still be able to block. Just a pretty cool card all around once you get it primed. Zendikar Resurgence. Whenever you tap a land for mana, add 1 mana to your mana pool of any type that land could produce. And whenever you cast a creature spell, draw a card. Those are some very good and utility abilities for green to have. The first one is something green already has in a few cards, and the second one green also has in a few cards. But together on 1 card is very nice. It is 7 mana. That isn't really that big of a deal in EDH, as you can get to that fairly easy. But I just think it serves a good utility slot where Mana Reflection, Seedborn Muse, and cards that let you generate a lot of mana are rather expensive just dollar-wise, not necessarily mana cost-wise. And then cards like Primordial Sage and Soul of the Harvest serve the purpose of drawing cards, but this lets you do it both on enchantment, so it sticks around a little longer. Now for some creatures. We have Engulfing Slagworm. He's a 7-cost 7/7. What I really like about this guy is his ability. Whenever Engulfing Slagworm blocks or becomes blocked by a creature, destroy that creature. You gain life equals that creature's toughness. This guy can almost literally not get destroyed in combat, because if you swing with him, as soon as they declare blocks, they're destroyed. If he's blocking, as soon as you declare him as a blocked, the creature's destroyed. Like, he's good that once you drop him, just swing, 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 swing. You have no fear of him dying to a creature. I mean, he may get hit by a removal spell, but you have 0 fear of him ever getting blocked and killed, and that's a pretty cool ability. Our next creature is Temur Sabretooth, a 4-cost 4/3 cat. I think this guy has a phenomenal ability. For 1 and a green, 2 mana, you may return another creature you control to its owner's hand. If you do, Temur Sabretooth gets indestructible at end of turn. So while he doesn't bounce himself, he makes himself unkillable, and that is a powerful, powerful ability. But he also, for 2 mana, lets you flicker, well, not flicker per se, but bounce your creatures to your hand to reuse ETBs or just to save them, just as a combat trick, which is something that green doesn't really have much of, if any. So that's what makes that's why we really like him, is that you can attack with Temur Sabretooth and another creature Temur Sabretooth gets blocked, the other creature gets blocked, you pay the 2 mana, bounce the other creature, Temur Sabretooth gets indestructible. Just value town right there. Next card we have is Woodland Bella. He's a 6-cost, 6/5. When Woodland Bella enters the battlefield, you may search your library for a non-legendary green creature with converted mana cost 3 or less and put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle your library. Now, I remember when this guy got spoiled, and it was pretty funny that people went ahead and they were like, oh, I can search for this green legend and this white creature. It's like people couldn't read the fact that it said non-legendary and green. It doesn't say only green, but it says non-legendary and it says green, and people couldn't get that through their heads, and it's really funny when new cards get spoiled and people don't just read them. But there are quite a few targets he can get. You can cast him, get Eternal Witness to immediately get back a card, cast him, get like a Wood Elves to get a land, cast him and get a Fierce Empath to be able to go ahead and get a 6-cost or greater. So depending on how you've toolboxed your deck, you know what you want to search for. You know, cast him and get a Spore Frog so you can skip a combat step. There's just a lot of things that he brings to the table, and he can rip them out of your deck straight for you. And for that, I think he comes straight out of Value Town. One of our instants, our only instant actually, is Winds of Calcisma. This is basically just another green fog, but it does have the option to be one-sided now. At its base and core, it prevents all combat damage that will be dealt this turn, like any other fog for the most part. But if you're ferocious and have a creature with power 4 or greater, instead prevent all damage that will be dealt this turn by creatures your opponents control. So if your opponent goes to Alpha Strike and you cast this, you can still set up some blocks, take down a few of their guys without repercussions of losing any of yours, and they don't hurt you. Or if you Alpha Strike and the blocks that they set up aren't favorable, if you didn't get through for enough damage, you can cast this and you don't have to worry about your guys dying in combat. So I think being better than a basic fog really helps us bring a lot to the table. So next up we have Bramble Crush, where you can destroy target non-creature permanent at the 4 mana cost slot. Now this is nice because green doesn't have a lot of way to destroy creatures anyway, so this doesn't hurt that at all, because it can't. But and green can already destroy artifacts and enchantments pretty well, but this gives now green the ability to destroy planeswalkers and lands. So it's just a multifaceted card. You can destroy planeswalkers, lands, artifacts, enchantments. It gives you just a lot of options at the 4 mana slot. There's basically 4 different types of permanents you can destroy, because I'm pretty sure it's just artifacts, enchantments, creatures, lands, and planeswalkers. I don't think I'm missing a type of permanent, but that's why it's in here. It's just that it gives you that option to really be able to destroy whatever you may need to without the added bonus of being able to destroy a creature, but that sort of just isn't in green's forte for the most part. There are a few cards that let them do it, but this just isn't one of them. Then lastly, for our 10th card, we have Bow of Nylea. Bow of Nylea might see a fair amount of play for good reason, but this really came in as one of our tech cards. So Bow of Nylea, 3-cost, legendary enchantment artifact, only legendary card on the list, only artifact on the list, so that's pretty cool. It gives the ability for your attacking creatures gain Death Touch. That's a super, super powerful ability because it just lets you go bananas with, like, tokens. Swing wild with your tokens, because if your opponents block them, they're going to lose their guys, or if your opponents don't block them, they're going to take the damage. And being able to force your opponent into the corner and force your opponent to make the decisions you want them to make is very powerful. But that's not all. That's not all, folks. Tell them what else you've won. For 2 mana and tapping this, you can choose one of 4 modes. You can put a +1/+1 counter on target creature, or Bow of Nylea deals 2 damage to target creature with flying, or you gain 3 life, or put up to 4 target cards from your graveyard into the bottom of your library in any order. So it's just straight value. Like, this does so much. And the fact that you can do any one of those 4 abilities at instant speed just for 2 mana, super, super powerful. But that wraps up our 10 cards. We had Gravity Well, Life Gift, Quest for Renewal, Zendikar Resurgence, Engulfing Slagworm, Temur Sabretooth, Woodland Bella, Winds of Calcisma, Bramble Crush, and Bow of Nylea. This has been Derek with Tapping Here in Gaming, bringing you our top 10 secret tech in green. Be on the lookout for the other colors that we're going to be doing and color combinations. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and we will catch you all later. Thanks a lot, and goodbye.